Hi, I'm Euge Valovirta, and on this one I'll show you how I dial a great rock and metal sound from 4 different amps. Mesa Boogie Mark V, Marshall 1987X Plexi, Marshall JJ800 2203 and Peavey 5150. This is a question I've been asked a lot, what are my settings, how I dial a sound. Well, first, I don't have any settings, because that's, in my opinion, quite stupid to limit yourself to settings. Because the knobs are there that you can dial the sound you hear in your head and what suits the best to any current situations, depending what guitar, what pickups, what cabinets, whatever you have. So my advice, forget all about that, what your settings things. Just I'm gonna show you. First, let's check out the Boogie. I did a video about this amp 2-3 weeks ago, and now I've had this amp a little bit over a month. I recorded with this absolutely great amp. One of my favorite amps of all time, definitely. Let's use the Channel 3 Mark II Plus mode, which is my favorite. Mark IV is really good also. It's a more kind of smoother maybe a bit, but I kind of like aggressive stuff. And the 2C Plus, it's really fast and kind of percussive, which I like a lot. Mark IV is a little bit easier to play, but yeah, 2C Plus is my favorite of these modes. I'm just gonna explain you my philosophy. Boogie is these Mark series amps. They are a bit different than your standard amps, because it has basically 2 EQs. So the way I think about these kind of normal treble, middle, bass knobs, what you have on every amp. To me, these are like pre-shape controls, like gain controls, like an overdrive pedal, pretty much. I think about these all. So with here, I'm just shaping the tone and the behavior of the overdrive, like I would have overdrive in front. And with this EQ, it's kind of post EQ. It's after the preamp section or the last, just before power amp section. So it's after preamp tubes. So with this you're only shaping the tone. With this one you're shaping the tone, but also the behavior of the preamp tubes, what kind of tone they produce. So let's put everything to 0 except master. And let's start from there. So now there shouldn't be any sound. And then I'll add gain. You barely hear it, but just where it's zzz, again, switch, but never mind where are the knobs. Use your ears. There, okay. Then we wanna add some other frequencies, because now the sound is pretty non-existent. The treble, sweet spot there. Cool, and then let's add some mids. There. This doesn't do much, but you really have to, train your ears. Then bass. There, where you just get a little bit of distortion to bass frequencies. Okay, then let's add presence, because now the sound is really far away somewhere. Somewhere there. So now the how the knobs are. The gain is around 2 o'clock, the treble 2, mid 10, bass 10, master is 11. That's again, you know, how loud you want it to be and how much you want the power tubes to, you know, have that mojo. So let's do that. There. So they're just like open. You feel the, because here it's now it's a bit too much. It's almost like a Plexi. There. Okay. And then the EQ, everything is on 0. So the EQ has been on. Now when I turn it off, so no difference because these are all 0. And bright switch and normal switch, I like to have the bright switch on. It adds just that nice silver there. Okay. Then the EQ. Well, if you analyze this sound now a bit, what it is, it's really honky, boxy, and we don't want that when we're trying to dial a powerful, chunky rock metal sound. So first, let's cut some mids out, because this amp has a lot of mids. Now they're completely out. It's a little bit dead now. Just a little bit, where you hear it. There. So the knob is just, it's above, just a hair above the first line here. Okay, then let's add some lows. Now they're full, it's muddy. There. Again, make it, put it up and then dial it back where it's not muddy anymore. Okay, then let's add some low mids to get a little bit body to the sound and that it rings better and cuts through the mix better. Because if I turn it off, now it's boxy too much. There where it opens. If you turn it too much, it becomes boxy. Okay, then let's add some high mids, aka 220, 2200 hertz. There, zzz, that one, zzz. Too much is and too low. There. Yeah, now it starts to sound like how at least I want it. And then the final thing, add some presence so that the sound really cuts through the mix and that it isn't muddy. But with this one you have to be careful. If it's too much, it's ear piercing, and we don't want that. We just want it to be like, you know, here, but not here. Like that. And now we have kind of the basic tone. Now, because every console affects to each other. So now let's do the final adjustment to make it even a little bit better. First, I think I wanna turn up the master a little bit. Yeah. The power tubes are, it's still a bit honky, haha. So let's cut the mids a little bit. Now it's directly on top of the line, but not completely down. Okay? And then let's dial this mid knob also. Yeah, I kind of like to have mids here, kind of like a, you know, SD1 or juice screamer in front, so it adds gain to the mids. And let's check out the lows. Yeah, so now the lows are 9 o'clock, so a little bit less because it was a little bit. Okay, and then the presence knob, the treble knob. Maybe a tiny amount of more gain. There, where you? Well, it's actually, it's the same where it was, so 2 o'clock. Okay, then let's check out the EQ once more. Lows, yeah, cool. And I usually do it like with these 2 strings, because with these G and D strings I can hear the highs, the lows and the mids. Cool, then the high mids. Cool. Then the 750, the mid mids. Cool. And then the high mids, 22K. There where it started. Zzz. Then the 6.6K, the really high highs. There. So now it's pretty good. If I would now start to record something, I would record with this play and see how it fits in the mix. Do I need to maybe add some mids or cut out some mids? Because as you probably know, it's a different thing to dial an amp like that you're alone than, you know, make it how it fits in the mix. Okay, so now that's pretty cool, I must say. And let me show you what happens when I turn this to MK, the Mark IV mode. It adds a little bit more gain and lows and stuff, so. So what I will do, I like this sound, but there's a little bit too much bass and too much gain, so I will do this, which I'm gonna do. Like that. Back to Mark II-C plus. With the EQ moves and stuff, I can actually get them almost identical. because I have it now on a pentode mode, because the original Mark II C Plus was on triode mode, how the tubes behave. I like more the pentode, it's more open, more headroom, and I like the feel more. If I switch this to pentode, it's almost like having a Variac. So, how I like this, everything is on pentode, all channels, bright switch on, Mark II C Plus on Mark IV. The Extreme is also pretty good, but it's a little bit like hard to describe. But I really like the feel of a Mark II C Plus. So now we have pretty good sound, and the EQ looks like it's a little bit over halfway, the bass, and the 240 is around on the line, 750 is right on the line, 22K is around halfway of these two upper lines, and 6.6K is a hair above that line. Listen what happens if I turn down the upper mids. It's like really modern and sounds really good like this. But I know, based on my experience of tens of years, this won't cut through the mix really well. So you kind of want to have those upper mids. It's that bark. A little bit lower mid to get body. So yeah, that's how I dial Mark II C Plus. But remember that small changes affect a lot what guitar, what pickups you have. Let me actually show you if I change an impulse response. So now I'm having the amps go to CYHRA's reactive load, where I'm having now my signature IR Valovirta from Jens Bogren's clean on lead pack, but that works on everything. That's based on a standard Mesa cab with V30s, mic with 3 different microphones. Let me show you if I switch to another impulse response, which is actually same cab, same microphones, but blended a bit differently. This one is Son of God 2 from Jens rhythm pack. This is the IR I used on Red Wolf's Sessions Volume 1 album, so completely different sound, even though it's the same cab and same speakers, but the microphones, they've just blended together, so this has a lot more of that highs and lows, and my signature is more like a even. Listen. And if I change it to something totally different, this is IR called Creamy Warmth. I can't remember if this is from Christian Colles or Jens Pax. And then something else. This is DV30 from Christian Colles. Back to my signature IR. So, if you copy these exact settings and maybe even have exactly similar guitar with same pickups, these are EMG 57 and 66, but if you don't have similar reactive load like I have, the CYHRA and the same IR what I'm using, it will sound completely different. That's a good thing to keep in mind, because speaker cabinet, speakers and microphones, they have a big impact of your tone, even if you use the same microphones, like on my Valovirta's IR and on Son of God IR. Same cabinet, same speakers, same microphones. Quite a different sound, because the microphones were blended differently. Okay, and then let's switch to JCM 800. These old Marshalls, they are easy to dial because it doesn't really matter where the knobs are. They will sound like they sound. The only thing that, let me show you. So this is the bad boy. This is a little bit different than most 800s. Well, this is the same, except this one. So the preamp is now 6, but it's full. It doesn't go, it doesn't add, it just adds noise. And the master is 2. It's the same than on standard 800, like my Zakk Wildhead there. You can see it, but the Zakk Wildhead is now the master is at 6, and it's as loud. These two are exactly as loud. You know, same volume and the same tube behavior. So when this is around 304, it's the same than maxed. I've dialed this a couple of times past noon, and the amp has blown up. So it's been maintained many times, but I've said to everyone, because I've been asked, hey, I can make this, or at least try to make like a normal 800, so you know it's a little bit easier to control. I'm like, no, I've had this amp since 90s. I love it. It's a special one. Don't do anything. Just change the tubes or whatever. I don't know why. This one is similar. A little bit different. This one, the preamp, when it's 7, it's pretty much like maxed. After that, it's just noise. And the master volume is 3. This one is 2. So, again, don't check out the settings where your settings are. It doesn't matter. These are dialed quite differently, all of these, my 800s, but they sound pretty much the same. Well, the bad boy is quite different. It's a special. Okay, so bad boy, no boost, nothing. I'm just gonna show you what the knobs does. So the presence is now at noon. Now it's 0. Now it's maxed. So I just keep it at noon because, you know, you heard. It doesn't really matter where it is. Check out the bass. Now it's 0. Now it's 10. Well, you get the point. So, especially with 800s and old Marshalls, they sound like they sound. These are pretty much like these controls here. You can pretty much change a little bit of the gain structure, but not that much. With Boogie, you can actually shape the tone, the sound a lot and make this to sound whatever tone-wise with the EQ. But since 800 and Plexi, there's no post EQ, so they sound like they sound. Or the tonality, because they sound, I mean, there's no sound. They don't sound anything. They just amplify your sound, how you play. So many people have asked that how am I able to get such tones out of simple 800? It's here. You heard, the knobs, they don't do much. It's like, well, the only thing is the preamp and the master. Let me show you. Now it's 0, obviously there's nothing, because it's a preamp volume, aka gain. Now it's 2. Now it's maxed. Now it's maxed. You heard, it doesn't do, now it's 6. It just adds noise after that. The treble is actually 0, maxed. That does a little bit. I usually have them around noon. The bass is usually almost full, because, you know. Then when I add super overdrive. Like you hear, it's quite noisy. So, how to get a good rock and metal tone out of 800? Just play good, and with the, you know, power, it will be good then. There's no secrets. The settings doesn't really matter. Okay, then Plexi. Plexi is even more that it really doesn't matter how you set them, because these are just like kind of pre-gain filters. The Plexi will sound like the Plexi will sound, or it will amplify your sound. These are just, you can make minor differences. Let me show you. First, the presence. 0. Full. Bass. 0. Full. You get the point. So they're kind of like, because they are in the preamp section, they are controlling how much certain frequencies goes through the tubes and whatnot. The more gain you have, the less impact those knobs have. The loudness, now it's 0. Now it's 2. Now it's cranked. This is basically preamp volume, because everything goes on a, you know, there's no guardian between the preamp and power section like on master volume amps. So that's that. And then you can blend in the second channel if you want to have more like low end mid or thumb. So that's Plexi. And then when we add, let's add a 2 screamer, level max, gain or drive 0, tone almost maxed. Plexis, it's such a fun amp to play because you never know what happens. Like, okay. All right, then 5150. I've always thought, and to me 5150 is just like a really hot-rodded, pimped Plexi. Let me show you why. I first play this one and then this one, then I switch to this one and then to 5150. Pay attention to the high frequency, that silver clang. Like you heard, these two, there's that high silver clang. I mean, I could dial this out from Boogie because the EQ is so powerful, but that's one of the reasons why I love this amp so much, because I can get pretty much all the tone there is, at least in my head, with this, especially with the EQ. So these have that, and that's why one of the reasons why I love this and this EQ is because I'm able to get that 800 high silver clang in there, which really cuts through the mix. As you heard with Plexi, it's more velvety. There isn't that, even though I have the treble pretty much cranked and the presence is 230 o'clock. There still isn't that, it's smoother, doesn't go so up. Same with 5150. because, you know, Eddie Van Halen used Plexi, brown sound. He just wanted something more modern, but still have the brown sound. Let me go through once more, then I show you how I dial the 5150. So first the 800. Yes, it's a lot more modern, but the high stuff, there's that certain velvetness and certain, I'm not gonna say muddiness, but that it's not as like punchy or whatever could be the correct word than 800 and how I've done the Boogie now. But I'm able to get 5150 because it's a really simple amp. Again, the sweet spot always. I want to make sure that there is lows, but they're not boomy, and that there's mids, but they're not like so. You know, there. And the mids, these mids are, it can get really like strange if you dial them too much, or at least in my ear. I'm not actually sure what the frequency is, but it's a certain, listen. Now there's none. It's almost, it's like high, almost like the third, the high. So again, to find the sweet spot where you have mids, but it's not. There. Oh, it was where it was. No. 4. And the highs are always also like, it's not really, to me it's more like a high mid frequency this is what you control with this high. It's not very high. Listen. It's more like the 22K control on the Boogie. So you want to make sure again that there, too much and it's key. And then this presence, this is actually the high frequencies. So now there's none. Now they're full again. This is like kind of the 6.6K here. There. So usually I've found that it's depending on the pickups and guitar and cabinet or impulses, but it's usually between 8 or 9 to me. So 4 different amps, but I think 4 great tones. The Plexi is a bit, you can do metal with that. I've played and recorded, but it's a bit vintage sounding. I've actually recorded many solos on metal albums with the Plexi, because it's really that certain. It, you know, it separates from itself, from the others, and you know, obviously when you record many guitars, you know, rhythm guitars, leads, it's sometimes cool to have different tonalities. Now let me go just once more how these amps now sound, how I have dialed them. So the 5150, I also like to boost that with overdrive, because the gain it really gets really, you know, sloppy. So I dial it in as little as possible. There. So it's 3, the lead channel. I'm having the normal gain input. The high gain input is a little bit too much. To me, it's like when I open it, it's like, whoa, the gain. So, and then when I add tube screamer or overdrive, let's add a tube screamer now. So it stays tighter when you don't dial gain a lot from the amp. Okay. Once more, all of these, and then conclusion. 50 on 51st. Let me just play this the same, whatever riff. I mean, 800, and especially the bad boy boosted with super overdrive, that's just like coming home always. Well, there's a reason why I've had 800s as long as I've had them. Conclusion. Use your ears. I know if you're just starting out, it can be difficult to really know what's good, what's not, but I started to do that ever since I started to play, because I mean, when I started, late 80s, there was no internet, so, and no whatever, you had to learn everything by ear and stuff, so that's what we did. We dialed the sounds by ear, we learned the songs by ear. Obviously your ear develops. I still to this day learn everything by ear. Sometimes I might check some tabs, but usually on the internet they're a bit not accurate always. And dialing the sound by ear. Just find the sweet spots, like with treble, when it goes too much, you hear it, it's harsh. Back it up a little bit. If you back it up too much, it's muddy. Same with the low end. Usually the kind of rule of thumb is the more gain, the bass needs to go down, so that you have the low end, but it's not flubby. And mids, you want to have them in there, but not too much, because if you have too much, the sound is boxy. If there's no mids, the sound is kind of dead. It's like it's in the dig, you know. And presence, to me, presence is almost kind of like a mastering, so to kind of finalize the high ching in there, and that helps many times. That's the key, how you can get the sound to cut through the mix. Alone, sometimes it might be that this has a lot, and yes, it does, but there's a reason why 800 has been so popular among many guitar players, including me, because it just works, and it doesn't really matter how you dial it. It sounds like 800, or it sounds like you. The Plexi is a Plexi. There's many other amps that do Plexi-like amps, and some of them are really good, but in my experience, only Marshall Plexi can do Marshall Plexi. It's very unique. There's lots of highs, lots of everything, but there still isn't. And like you heard, with that one, it really doesn't matter where everything are. I mean, many times when I've recorded solos for my solo album, for example, I did this. everything full, because I just wanted to have all in, and then I EQ'd it a little bit when I mixed the album. Let me actually show you how that sounds. I mean, yeah, like, you know, whatever. It's a Plexi. And with the Boogie, these kind of pre-filter knobs, they don't do much to the overall sound. They kind of they shape more to the gain structure. It's a bit like, I think of this section as a Plexi, you know. And then with this EQ, you actually determine how the tonality of the amp. And this is so powerful and so, you know, even small changes makes a difference. With this one especially, don't look at any pictures. Maybe to use the starting point, the picture I put, and then dial those according to your playing style, your sound, your guitar, your pickups, your cabinet. And 800, you heard, it doesn't really matter where the knobs are. The master volume and preamp are probably the, you know, you want to have enough master volume so that the power tubes are starting to work to get the low end. It's insanely loud then if you don't have, you know, dummy load. And the preamp gain is, well, on this one, I'll put a picture, as you can see, it's 10. But these are, like I said, a little bit special, so they are around 6. That's how I do it. And with many amps, with 5150, I feel that an overdrive in front is a must. Like mid-boost overdrive, which cuts the lows on the way in, so that the low stays tight. With 800, well, there isn't that much gain, so you need an overdrive anyway. I prefer, again, super overdrive or Tube Screamer. They boost mids. Especially with Marshalls and 800s, it's SD1. It's just, you know, no questions. With 5150, I feel that the Tube Screamer works a little bit better, because Tube Screamer boosts the mids a little bit more than SD, because 5150 doesn't have that much mids. And then when you crank them, it's kind of strange frequency. It becomes really strange to my ears. With Plexi, I like to use either Super Overdrive, Tube Screamer, or Blues driver works really well. That's a transparent driver, so that boosts all frequencies if you just want to go like crazy, or if you have dialed that you don't have much volume so that the tone is quite clean, then if you want to have just more gain but not change the overall sound, then a transparent overdrive like Blues driver works well. With Boogie, I haven't found a need to use any overdrives, because to me this is pretty much an overdrive section. That's like a 6-knob overdrive pedal. And then with these you actually shape the tone. Hopefully this was interesting and helpful. And if you have any questions, please put them in the comments below. Thanks for watching. It was a pleasure. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you liked, thumbs up, subscribe. You know the drill. See you next time. All the best. Bye.